Welcome to another episode. I am your host, WIZE. My next guest is a renowned possibility coach, transformational speaker, and the visionary founder of Why You to Shine. Welcome to the show, Victoria Rader.
Thank you so
Hello.
much. It's fantastic to be here.
The pleasure's mine. I'm glad to have you on the show. So let's just drop right into the questions. Um So your journey is a remarkable one, from achieving real estate success during the recession to becoming a possibility coach. Can you share a pivotal moment or realization that led you down this transformational path?
Yeah, being as you said, first of all, I think it's very important that when you look at a list of accomplishment to realize the blanks of failure that are laying the foundation. And so when I'm gonna name these steps, I want everybody to fill in like the bridges and the muds and and all the good stuff that usually doesn't make it to these excellent conversations sometimes. And
Yeah,
and my started in the middle of the mud because I wanted to homeschool my kids. I'm from Ukraine. I wanted them to speak Slavic languages. Long story short, I find myself taking my kids to Greece to study Greek history and architecture at the tender ages of 4 and 8. Ambitious, crazy mother, 3 weeks, come home. And my husband's like, honey, I'm all in favor of this ambition of education, but you got us into debt. I know in Ukraine, when you swipe plastic, this is 25 years ago, there's money attached. Nothing is attached to a credit card here. So I find myself with two little kids, a dream of traveling and homeschooling, and no finances to do that. That's what got me in real estate, right? I want to make sure that a very big why got me in real estate, a non negotiable, very big why. And so here I am, complete introvert, a girl who had no friends till age 11. And at 11, sobbing when my parents told me I had to go to like a campfire because I couldn't connect to people. And I have to go into people business. Real estate is not about homes, it's about people. I have to meet strangers. I have to. And so, through sobbing every night and through discomfort of that process, all of a sudden, within 2 years, while homeschooling my kids, not working on Sunday, traveling the world, I'm announced as a top one agent in Virginia, top 1% in US and Canada. I'm like, what happened? Like, I lift my head and I'm like, what happened? I mean, through snot and crawling. And yes, by the way, dreams coming true. And I paused. And this is the long winded answer to your great question, is that I paused and I asked myself, what is it that got me there? Because I'm no more experienced than agents in my office. Some of them are 20 years. I'm not wiser. I'm not more capable. I'm certainly not more hardworking because I've got things to balance. I'm not devoted to it 7 times a week because I believe one day is for me and for my God, whatever. No work on Sunday. So, what is it that has gotten me to where I am? Because up till then, every personal development book told me it was my mindset, you can do it, and my effort. And I'm like, no, these people have the same mindset and the same effort. And what I've come to realize is that what drives all of human behavior is not what we consciously think we think, but what is subconsciously hidden deep within and either sabotages or promotes our dreams. So I threw myself into Ph.D. of metaphysics, every energy work and healing modality, and then founded the company that simply could show a path to anybody how to find what keeps you stuck in your mind, how to get unstuck, and how to move forward. And that it is possible not just for me, but for everybody who chooses that possibility. Hence, my clients called me possibility coach.
So, like you was mentioning, your work involves uncovering and solving hidden problems and patterns in your clients. Could you provide an example of how these hidden factors can impact one's life and success?
Absolutely. I think we're going down into a very well. Some of us are right in the middle of it. Some of it is still kind of sliding down into a very interesting financial, situation globally. We can close our eyes and pretend it's not happening. We can keep looking at the fake Instagram accounts, thinking somebody knows the secret we don't. No, everybody's equally broke, and so just people don't lie as well. And so there is a pending reality of a survival level strive for most of the people on the planet in their health, in their relationship, in their money, just is. And so when that is happening, you've got to ask yourself, and the work that I'm doing in my subscription group is to say which part of what is happening for the world is a part that is also happening for me. Just being very, very clear on where am I at the same frequency, or it's the same radio station. I'm listening to the same music of doom and gloom. So which part of me is struggling? It's a very important question to ask. And then as you find that part, ask yourself, what is it that I don't see? It's amazing. Our subconscious is so powerful, it'll start answering your questions. So, what is it that I refuse to see about myself that keeps me stuck? You will get an answer almost immediately. And then the third question is, okay, so what do I do about it? Not generally, but what's the first step for me to get out of this? I'll give you the most recent, as recent as 2 hours ago. As recent as 2 hours ago, parallel that's going to be like a big aha for most of us. At a time when so many people are being laid off and or being fired, there's a subconscious fear for some people that are employed of being fired and that are self-employed of not creating the cash flow, so they are not firing themselves. And so that fear of firing, our subconscious mind is very, very literal. It hears and absorbs and codes literally. So when I'm thinking or feeling I'm afraid of being fired, in our brain, new programs are created by neurons firing. Neurons are energy connections in our nervous system, and they connect and create new thought patterns in our brain, new movements for our body through firing together. There is a phrase, neurons that fire wire. If I'm constantly saying, I'm brave, I'm brave, I'm brave, I'm brave, I'm brave, I'm brave, neurons are firing. All of a sudden, I'm going to wake up next morning going like, golly, I'm like brave today. I mean, what happened? Neurons that fire wire. When you have a fear of being fired, the brain is so literal that it zooms in into your fear of being fired and it starts disconnecting healthy connections. The neurons that fire now fire on fear, and you lay out the foundation for you to be fired. So if you are one of those people, if you're listening to it and you say, man, she's like looking in my mind, I'm afraid of losing my job, or I'm afraid of losing my, business, it's okay to say the fear is normal, doesn't have to be the norm. And I want you to say it out loud, not to think it. We think millions of thoughts. This fear is normal, doesn't have to be my norm. I'm going to fire the fear. Do you guys feel the chills? I'm going to fire this fear. What's there to be afraid of firing? I'm firing the fear and I'm firing up my business. I'm firing up my, you know, value for my employer. So don't fear discovery of painful programs. All of a sudden, there's nothing to fear. I'm firing fear. Yeah, huge.
Oh no, I agree with you. That's how Stuck in My Mind was born. Was I finally got over the fear of launching my podcast because and I was just making up so many excuses. Who's gonna want to listen to me? I sound horrible. I don't know what to talk about, and it was just me making up excuses, and it was the fear of failure that was holding me back from starting my podcast. And when I finally kicked that fear and went, you know what? Press record, recorded the first episode, released it, and that was the beginning. And that was just okay. I can do this now. I know I can do it. And then I just started learning the process, started adding things that I didn't add the first few times when I started uploading my episodes, and I started growing and learning, and I improved. And had I not faced that fear of pressing record and releasing the episode, we wouldn't be talking right now.
I'm glad we are. Well, I want 2 points that came in so loudly from you as you were making that is that I know it is sad, but I think it's good for our brain to see it visually. People say, oh, failure paves the path to success. But I think what really happens is like you're walking fear, failure, fear, failure, fear, failure. It doesn't, you get better at something only to fail at something greater. And so I talk about like 4 levels of creating abundance. The first one is awareness. You become aware either of a God given desire for you through you, if you're a person of faith, or your intuitive drive for achievement, if you're personal development. So however language you use, there's a seed of greatness within you, as Les Brown has, says. So you are aware that there is more. In your case, this great podcast, there's more. I'm called to do it. Nobody just wakes up in the middle of the night and says, why don't I expose myself to a million people? I mean, it's got to be a calling. It's got to be a calling. I'm called to do it. I'm called to do it. Awareness. Then there's alignment. And the alignment is okay, how do I align with this vision? What's the first step? You're aligning with the vision, you're building up yourself to align with the awareness that you have. And then you take that first action. Well, the bridge from alignment to action is always fear. I don't think it's talked enough. It is either fear of failure, fear of imposter syndrome. For some people, fear of success. For some people, I know for me, for the longest time, it's been fear of losing my privacy. If all of a sudden I have a global presence, I'm a private person. I was terrified of losing my privacy, right? But out of alignment into action is overcoming fear. You act through fear and then it disappears. It'll never go away. It is a part of us that wants us to survive. It's a scared part of me that says, look, we haven't done this before, so you can't die from it. So you got to hug yourself and say, I hear you, and I'll find a way to go through it without dying. And so you move through what I call the sacred part. And then, as a result of awareness, alignment, and action, comes the abundance. You know, repeated action, and then new awareness comes in. And you've said, I've gotten better. You became aware of a better way to do things. I become aware of my failure every day and of something better that I can do. And I align with something better continually, and then I act through it. And then I empower my clients to do the same. And as a result of not giving up on this process, abundance follows. Nobody knows when it does. And the gap in the abundance following is what makes most people quit before they become prosperous. It's tragic. But when you're fearful and exhausted and burnt out, definition of burnout, you put in effort, you don't see result. If I had to define what the global feels right now, it's complete sheer burnout. How much longer? And I would say until your rewards are given for not giving up, and then beyond that with new energy.
No, I agree with you. It's been just even on this journey and doing the podcast and just being able to have these conversations where I am learning so much and I'm able to I don't look at it I no longer look at it as failure or like it's no longer to me I'm not looking at it as it's just something I'm so if something happens to go wrong I don't look at it as a failure I look at more as all right more as a lesson where I can be like where did I go wrong on this? What did I do wrong here? How can I fix? How can I? What can I do to not make sure it doesn't occur again? And that's how I go about it. I don't when I see mistakes, I correct them. Or if I'm still having issues, I approach someone who can help me with the error with the mistake, or I learn how to correct it. And so instead of me being like, oh man, I messed up, I'm like, all right. Again, I look at it more as what could have I done differently to make it go the other way?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think so. I have very interesting spread in our group sessions and presentations where there are more women participating on live as live audience, but that's only 25% of the audience. The 75% are actually men and they watch it quietly. It's just fascinating to me, because I got to do it. I got to do it. So it's just really a cool thing. But the reason I'm saying is because what I've noticed is that more so for men than for women. That's an observation. It's not a conclusion, not a fact, not a statement to get somebody all worked up. Just as an observation. Just as an observation. While both women and men have a hidden fear of being unworthy of the success waiting for them. But when women feel unworthy of success waiting for them, they get into self-pity cycle. When men feel unworthy of the success waiting for them, they get into anger cycle. Once again, it's just an observation. And it's fascinating to me because those two energies on a map of consciousness is a concept developed by David Hawkins. David Hawkins, he's passed unfortunately, would wire people's brains and he would expose them to different situations and images that triggered a certain emotion. And when people would experience that emotion, he would then measure how their brain vibrates, measure the frequency of their brain wave. And then he would qualify the emotion with the frequency of the brain. So, what he found out is that the lowest frequency is shame. When we're ashamed, our brain is barely moving. It's the frequency of shame. Right above shame, there is grief. Right above grief, there is apathy. Right above apathy is the first active emotion, fear. And right above fear is anger. Then there is pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, peace, enlightenment, love, peace, enlightenment. So what happens is that we when something when we think we are yearning for a certain result, and if we don't achieve it, for a lot of women, the apathy kicks in and the grief of a lost opportunity. For a lot of men, the anger kicks in of, man, how could I do this? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with the world? What's wrong with you? You know, and those two frequencies can only be overcome through the energy of pride. So pride is an important step. You just can't get stuck there. If you get stuck in pride, you become prideful and you become a narcissist. But if you get yourself as a woman, I'm speaking to women, if you find yourself in self pity, when you feel you're less than, life is unfair, it's important to get angry. It's so important for you to get angry. And when you get angry, and this is where we join men, right? And once again, you can go both ways on these. I'm talking majority. Once you get to that anger, it's important to pat yourself on the back and say, I'm so good at being pissed. It's amazing how it shifts your map of consciousness. You cannot stay angry if you praise yourself for doing something good. So instead of saying nothing is going well, I'm good for nothing, you can say, man, I'm so good at self-destruction and at anger. I'm good at something. I mean, I might be good at something bad, but I'm good at something. It'll have an instantaneous energy shift for you. The anger will subside and the courage will come in. And the courage sounds like, who can help me with this? That's what courage sounds like. I've gotten good at being bad. I've gotten good at being sad. I've gotten good at being angry. That means I can be good at things, so how about I get good at something that will create my life? Yeah, very, very important step.
So being an 8-time internationally best-selling author is a significant achievement. Can you tell us more about your books and the key message you aim to convey to your readers?
There are people that are born to be writers. That's my brother. For him, writing is like breathing. He has 28 fiction books. He's phenomenal. And there are people like me that are authors, and that's all of us. An author is somebody who has a message and then who struggles as such. So I'm very upfront about, hey, not I'm no Shakespeare. I'm very comfortable being no Shakespeare. I'm
Yeah.
an author. And the idea that I author through all of the work that I've done is the idea of understanding who we are and how we are to thrive as who we are. So the concept of the two letters, if you look at my journals, Miracle Me, Manifest Me, just released Hear Me 2 days ago and very tender. We can talk about it if it's in alignment for us. Their journals, or Prosper Me book, they all have little m, big E when I refer to the word me. And what I've come to understand through years of being, of working, of learning, of thriving, through struggle at times, is that there are two parts of who we are. And there is a little m, which is mortal. I don't know about you, but I know there's a part of me that will die. We call it matter, another m, mortal matter. And that mortal matter needs to manifest materially. Trust me, meals are better with real food. I tried it both ways, and meals are way better with food, right? So that little am, that is a mortal matter that manifests materially. It's there. We cannot deny it. Its job is to be afraid, to be scared, and to try to survive. And then there's the big E of who I am, and that is eternal energy that expands, the essence that expands. That's also who I am. So there's a scared me, little m, and there's a sacred me, big E. And every day, every single day, every moment of the day, I get to choose how to surrender my M of mortality to E of eternity, how to surrender my material to my essential, my matter to my energy, and my manifesting to expanding. So every book, every work, every app, we have two apps, Master Me and Empower Me. Every single thing we do is how to overcome the scared, how to love that part of you so the sacred you can empower this world. Because I do believe each and every one of us has come with a gift to this world.
Wow. That's heavy. That's amazing though. It's to be able I'm not a I shouldn't say I'm not an author, but I haven't published the book yet. I
That's
haven't
it. That's it.
yet.
There's
I haven't published one yet. But I did help my nephew publish his second book, and it was a great experience to see the process. And we're self published, so I kind of have an idea of how to do it myself. So it was something I wanted to learn how to do. So being able to learn that process and see it and see his vision come to life and see how much pride he took and putting the book out, and it's a really pretty good book. So it's inspired me yet to eventually sit down and work something out and maybe write my own book. But like you said, they are writers and they are authors, and I know I'm not a writer. I'm a
well, and yet
talker.
it's possible, right? Look at
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I'm a talker. I'm more of a talker. I found out that I'm more of a talker than a writer. But it's but even with this, doing what I'm doing here and the way I'm creating the content, eventually this content can lead to writing a book. So there's so many different opportunities that are opening from again facing that fear and jumping into the podcast and 'cause now it's opening is opening different opportunities like speaking engagements, being a guest on other people's podcasts. I just hosted an event this Saturday for International Podcast Day, and it was wonderful. It was a great experience. I had a wonderful time. It was one of my first times emceeing an event. So I'm doing things that I've didn't fathom. I didn't have, like, when I started podcasting, none of this was a thought. But being able to do the podcast has built a courage in me, because even to for the event that I hosted, it was even though it was a friend of mine. He was I went and I just point blank asked him, I said, "Hey, um, can I host it?" And he says, "Heck yeah." He actually left a comment. "Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you." And the fact that he had that much faith in me and allowing me to host this event, knowing that I had no prior experience, but knowing him feeling that you can handle it, you're capable of doing it, that just meant the world to me.
Mm.
So it's really been an amazing journey to be able to find what I love to do, finding my purpose, finding that I have a voice, finding that I can make an impact. And if you would have told again, you would have asked me this 4 years ago, you would have I wouldn't, my answer would be like, "You crazy? I'm not capable of doing any of this."
Yeah. The word courage comes from the Latin root core, and that means heart. So when we're courageous, we just trust our heart over the dissuasion of our brain. They have two very different roles. The heart shows the path, and when we're true to our heart, the courage takes over and we get to walk that path. And the brain's job, as I've mentioned, is to keep us alive. So it's going to try to fight and reason with your heart. And once you make that choice, I'm going to listen to my heart. What happens is that what comes from the heart reaches the hearts. So when you get out of your own way, the fastest way, when you lean into the depth of your heart, because what comes from the heart reaches the hearts, and then you free people to do the same. And it sounds to me like that's exactly what you've done.
So, so you emphasize the practical application of universal and God's laws. How can individuals incorporate these principles into their daily lives for meaningful change?
First, as a one sentence disclaimer, not to confuse anybody who could be confused by what I'm going to say, is that there's so much today where people equate God, great overall designer, and universe. And we will hear people say God or universe interchangeably. They're not one and the same. In energy terms, and I'm not going to talk in religious terms, I'm going to talk in energy terms, there are things that act and there are things to be acted upon. The two basic rules of creation. There's energy that acts, and there is matter to be acted upon. God is the great overall designer, the energy that acts. Universe is the matter to be acted upon. God doesn't punish, but laws do. The universe does. So, what does that mean? This universe is built with universal laws. Why the universal? They are applicable to every area of our life. So, the law of gravity has no motion. It'll work either for you or against you based on how you understand the law. Thanks heaven, we can drive cars, we can walk, and we can build homes because of the law of gravity. But if I'm falling off the second floor, it's going to hurt. Not because God turned upon me, but because I violated the universal law of gravity. It's that simple. Well, just like there is a law for gravity, there's a law of electricity. It brings us light into our homes. But if I'm going to stick my metal, whatever, which I did as a kid, pin into the socket, I'm getting electrocuted. God is not punishing me. Okay. It's just I'm violating the law. So it's just so important to dissuade the two. And when you violate the law, not to be like, why am I being punished? I mean, because you're violating the law. I mean, God is there to love you, to support you, to encourage you, to thrive you, to prosper you. The laws are there to keep you on the straight and narrow path, to be like, hey, hello, you're violating me again. Get back. So it's just very important to distinguish. So one of my books called Prosper Me, the 35 Universal Laws of Making Money Work for You. Now, I believe prosperity is thriving in all areas of your life. And I don't think any amount of money should substitute your relationships and so forth. So prosperity is not just money for me. But I mean, I'm from Ukraine. I am a girl who every summer spent with my grandparents without running water and with an outhouse that I had to walk to for 10 minutes with a minus, n degrees weather when it was cold in winter. And so I understand not having the luxuries of life, right? I'm the same girl who today has my dream home that I go to for half of the year right on the Atlantic Ocean. I'm also the girl who never forgets how one got to be the other. Never forgets. And that fires me up to say, if I could do that, anybody could do that. So the book is 35 Universal Laws. And the very first universal law is that of gratitude. It's there for a reason. The very first law is the law of gratitude, because what you appreciate appreciates. And what you take for granted, you lose. It's huge. So a lot of people, I did a huge conference for Asia, and I pulled out $10. And I said, okay, I'm holding $10. How do you guys feel? Write down all the emotions you have. Yeah, blah, whatever, $10. Then I pulled out crispy, beautiful $100. I said, how do you feel now? Oh, there was a little bit of juicing, And then I pulled a pack of $100. And I said, how do you feel now? And then I said, what happens is that the gap of feeling between $10, 100, and 1,000 is your gap of gratitude that keeps you at the broke level you are. Because until you can appreciate the value of $10, that, for example, in some of the African countries, is the price of a net that protects you from malaria and mosquitoes and saves your life. And people die by tens of thousands because they can't afford a $10 malaria net. When you look at $10 and you say it's just $10, when I have more, I'll invest more. When I'll have more, I'll help the world more. That's bullshit. You're not. Because if you're not helping with $10, you're not going to help with a million. No millionaire became a millionaire and then started contributing money. They either do it or they don't, starting with $1. It's huge. So when you're grateful for the little that you have, with such devotion that you save a little bit, that you invest a little bit, and that you most importantly give of it to somebody, you are appreciating what you have and it grows. The fastest way to get unstuck financially is to live as if you are a prosperous, abundant human being, because the truth is you are. You just might not be seeing it. Do you have running water? Do you walk to the outhouse? If the answer is not, you're prosperous. You're prosperous.
Oh, and I feel you, because when every summer in the '80s, mom would send me to Puerto Rico, and at that time we had they had an outhouse,
Mhm.
and where we right next to the outhouse is where we took a hose was running through with, and that's where the water came through. So we had the outhouse on one side, and then another thing where there was a hose inside, and you would take a and if you took a shower late at night, the water was so cold. So it made me appreciate when I got back home to New York after the summer, appreciate running water way more than I did when
Mm.
but it was those experiences that just made you realize, like, okay, maybe I don't have it so as bad as experiencing those moments where you're afraid to go in the outhouse because you don't know what's gonna jump up and bite you or whatever. So it's I've experienced that. So yeah, I know I feel your pain on the outhouse situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the truth. That's the first of the 35 laws. But if you don't know it, you keep taking, You can even take business classes and you can do this and that and the other, but at the end, you're staying at the same level because you're not appreciating where you are. So gratitude, that's the first one. And there are universal laws. If you don't know how to work with them, they're going to work against you. Period. It's just that simple. So
Oh, this has been a wonderful conversation. I've had a great time. It is now time where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away, let people know where they can find you. Wait, oh no, 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 not yet. No, I have one more question. Hold on. I do have one more question. I almost messed that one up because it has to do with so looking ahead, right? What are your aspirations for why you to shine and your continued impact on the personal development and coaching community?
Right now I have an amazing opportunity to be in Greg Reed's personal development project. Greg Reed's done 140 books in 49 languages, international bestsellers. He's somebody who was working very closely with Napoleon Hill Foundation, great human being, great personal development guru, and he's doing a book that is called Personal Development, which ironically in the personal development world, there's never been a book called Personal Development. And I get to be on that little committee of the 12 people that we, every 2 weeks, we interview the giants of personal development. And I get to meet just incredible people in the field. And so for me, the growth in me through exchange with these people and seeing how all of them are givers first, and they're implementers first, that's been a beautiful journey of that. And so for me personally, as a human being, that's my growth path and that's my reward for what I do. For the company, my company has been growing organically. I, just like you, didn't think, oh, I'm going to have this podcast and then I'll become a speaker and then I'll be a host to events. I just wanted to help people. And then all of a sudden, the clients that I've helped have started doing so well that they said, hey, how about we come back as your coaches? And we help more people to do that. And so organically, the company has grown and I now have 11 phenomenal coaches. Organically, it's just been happening as to where using subconscious programming, different energy modalities, practical application, we are helping more and more people one on one. And then we have a quantum freedom subscription that helps people as groups, and it just is developing. My biggest dream for the team is that the work we do becomes a standard in personal healing, energy transformation, and mindset industry. I'm passionate about that. In terms of practicality, one of the things that I foresee is that our Empower Me app is an entry point for somebody who could never afford a 200 an hour coaching, but who needs transformation the most. And so for $79 a year, you have tools that are accessible to you that are worth tens of thousands of dollars. If you desire to make that change, and we're continually adding to that app. And the last thing I guess I want to share in terms of what I'm looking forward to, um, this is, I've said what comes to the heart touches the heart. This comes from the heart because this is very recent. Actually, I don't know when the recording of this will go
Oh,
live,
we're
but those
live.
we're live. Okay, so
We're
so
live.
as we're that's amazing. So being live, yeah, because you got people. So going live, 2 days ago, I'm gonna hold it up. 2 days ago, this little journal was published, and you see two hearts, and it's called "Hear Me: Journaling Beyond the Veil." So I've lost a lot of people throughout my life. I had people started dying when I was 2.5, and they just wouldn't quit, And I've had to redefine my life and my joy of life over and over and over again with every loss. And now with the war in Ukraine, I've lost friends, I've lost my grandmother. And so 2 weeks ago, this is to encourage anybody to have courage. 2 weeks ago, I got a very strong feeling that to use my talents to create a journal that helps people to connect to their loved ones because they don't just disappear. Whatever your system of beliefs is, they don't disappear. They're right there. And within literally days, the journal was creating as 13 power questions. One to be asking of the loved one or a friend that crossed the veil, that died. and want to be asking yourself to start healing. And I got to tell you, I've done a lot of creative programming and writing, and this is probably one of the most healing processes that has ever happened. This little journal, Hear Me. And so it came out idea came 2 weeks ago. It came live 2 days ago, published on Amazon. So I said, okay, I love all of my products. I live by them. I'm going to do this journal for myself. And so I'm thinking who I'm going to write. And I sit down and I start writing this conversation, answering the questions with my grandma, who died many years ago, 20 years ago. I haven't thought over much, but she was instrumental in inspiring this journal. And all of a sudden, I haven't written in Ukrainian in 30 years. And all of a sudden, when I ask her a question, I start writing in Ukrainian. And then, with the same authenticity, when I answer the question, I start writing in English because I've truly become an American through and through. I think in English. So, the reason I'm bringing it up, and I know we're wrapping up with that, is that I truly feel that somebody who has lost their loved one, who is about to lose their loved one, that they want you to hear from them. And then this beautiful journal probably has made it to this podcast just for you. And that's good enough for me.
And it's and like you, I suffered many losses. Um, I was 31. My wife passed away in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
The next year, a year and a month from when she passed, I reunite with my father after 25 years of not going having any contact with him. I go to see him Father's Day weekend in Puerto Rico. I get there Friday, Saturday morning, he passes away.
Wow.
And it was just one tragedy after another. I've buried two brothers, aunt and uncle that helped raise me. And then this past Saturday, another aunt of mine's passed away from cancer. So it's I'm someone who suffered a lot of loss, and I was angry for a long time. I was angry for a long time, many years, and it took for me to really sit down and something tell me, why are you so angry? What what could have you done differently to make these outcomes be different? And when I think about it, it's like, okay, yes, I'm it wasn't happening to me. That's what I'm trying to put in there. That like, yes, I've suffered these losses, but I had no real control over these circumstances, and I shouldn't. Yes, it's understandable to be angry, and when I finally realized, like, let it go. It's like it's not doing you any good. It's not you're headed down the wrong path. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not serving your purpose. And when I finally did did that and shifted and things started changing. I met my wife that I'm with now. Um, Career wise, started working, and just my life just started changing. So I'm one who knows, and I'm actually gonna go get the book and I'm gonna fill it out.
Oh, well, let me send it to you as a gift. How about that? I don't believe in
Oh,
coincidences. I don't believe that in 2 weeks I create this and you're telling me that story. So yeah, I would love to send it to you as
oh,
a gift.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. But now it's time for you to get the solo screen, and now you get to plug away and let everybody know where to hit everything, find everything.
I tell you what, I'll make it short and sweet. The best way to connect is at the website, you2shine.com, number 2, shine.com. I do respond, maybe not within 12 hours, 24 hours, but I do respond to any contact, any question that you tag me or my team always does. And there are a couple free cool things that we offer. If you are a Facebook user, you can go to freeme.coach, and that's a very powerful, absolutely free Facebook group that we've just launched recently, where I come on live and I do the actual mindset shifts and through energy modalities, rewiring your brain for success, and for success in a meaningful, fulfilling way, not in an empty ego way. Um, if you're struggling with money, you can go to moneyquiz.me. You will take that quiz, and it's a unique way to find your money healing mode. It will tell you what way you're wired to be working with money, what your blocks are, and which laws you should start working with to unlock those blocks. And that's moneyquiz.me. So if you and of course the laws you can also find in Prosper Me book. Um, Another one that's very aligned with our conversation. If you go to choosesacred.me, it's a 6 minute free download for a meditation, 6 minute long meditation that's mental visualization to shift out of being stuck in your fear into the courage of moving forward. It's rewiring your psyche. The meditation is called From Scared to Sacred. Hence, the website is choosesacred.me. So those are the best ways to utilize the free offerings we have. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Vika, VICA underscore Rader, Rader, which is my name. And I really, truly do hope that we connect and that you enjoy one of our amazing products that empower you to live as the bright light that you've come to be. Whether you're shining that light now or not, we're trying to encourage and empower you to do so.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful episode. I really have enjoyed it. Great conversation, which I've kind of already knew it was going to happen because it just, I don't know, I just felt like one of those conversations that was going to go really good. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Had a wonderful time. I love these type of conversations where I get to learn some stuff, and my audience gets to learn stuff, and it's just, this is why I do it. This is why I podcast, to really be able to make an impact. If it's one person or two people or whatever it is, it's just making an impact. And yes, my guest yesterday was talking about a ripple effect. It's just a little ripple effect, and it was. Thank you, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
but don't leave just yet. We're going to chat a little bit off the air. Let me just close out the show. Once again, wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Great time. Actually, I do have return guests. So whenever you want to come back on and have another wonderful conversation, just let me know and we can make it happen. I'll
Sounds good. Sounds good.
definitely
There's
would love to have you
so
back
much
on.
we could talk about.
I know there's a lot of things. There is a lot of things we can talk about. So
Yeah,
yes, definitely.
absolutely. Thank
But
you.
yeah, let me just close out the show and I'll be right back. All right, that was an amazing show. I just want to thank everybody who's in the chat. Facebook user, thank you for stopping by. Jeff Ravilla, appreciate you, brother. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to host your international podcast day event. Valve, oh, my first Twitch comment. I appreciate it, Valve, man. Thank you, by the way, for watching the show on Twitch. Greatly appreciate it. Big shout out to my real wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady. Love you and appreciate you, baby. And this episode, like the other two episodes earlier this week, is dedicated to my aunt Anna, who passed away this past weekend. Um, you're gonna be missed. We love you. I know that you're always gonna be around, and just just tell your loved ones that you love them, and when you get the chance, just let them let you appreciate them, and just enjoy the moments that you do have with them. I am grateful for everyone who tunes in. I really do appreciate the support. Everybody who's sent me condolences, I really do greatly appreciate it. Um, Without you guys and the event, it was just thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And and that's how I'm gonna end it. So everybody have a great night. I'll see you next Monday. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.